So, I am back with another video. It is a beautiful, sunny, but windy day here in New York City. And I was looking at some Kenyan statistics yesterday, and something caught my eye. So I was like, let's make a video about it. It is hot. The things I do for YouTube. I'm telling you guys, you could probably see it on my skin. You could probably see it glistening and all my scars. But let's get into the topic. The statistic that caught my eye about Kenya is the amount of money that the diaspora are sending back. Those are Kenyans living abroad. The total sum of money that we send back home every year is more than some of our biggest industries back home, like tea and other horticulture things like flowers that we grow and anything that you could think that we're probably exporting is not more, it does not bring in enough money compared to what the diaspora are sending back. Now, that statistic can be looked at in two different lights. The positive being that the economic power of the diaspora is pretty strong. Or you can look at it on the negative side, where the environment back home isn't suitable for people to sustain themselves. And the reason I say that is because the majority of the money, the remittances, that's what it's called, the diaspora remittances that are sent back are normally going back home to help sustain family members, whether that's someone who's out of work, whether that's putting kids or family relatives through school, whether that's a medical bill that came up and a family member can't afford it. Like a lot of the time that people are sending money back home is to help sustain family members back there. So that's the negative side of it, where you can see it as people back home are struggling and have to rely on the diaspora, which shouldn't be the case. So when I was looking at this statistic yesterday, I was thinking on the bright side of it, that's a lot of money that the diaspora is sending back. Because if I'm correct, I think the total sum reached 4 point something billion dollars in 2024. I think it was like $4.5 billion. But it's been the biggest foreign exchange of Kenya since 2015. So I'm thinking of it from the sense of, in order for people like me, a diaspora, to send money back home, you have to obviously be in a place where you're probably able to pay your bills to keep going to work to be able to make money and send it back, right? So it's extra cash that people have. Maybe they didn't intend to send it back home. Maybe they wanted to plan and build something here, but somebody back home is sick and they have to send that money. But like at the end of the day, it's telling me that is I don't know the exact word for it. That's extra cash, expendable money, right? Expendable capital that they would have. And the total sum within the diaspora has reached 4 point something billion dollars. Now, me being Jimmy, I look at that and I'm like, what if this money wasn't going back home to help people? What if the majority of this money was going back home to invest? Hear me now. If somehow, some way, someone could, you know, organize the diaspora to come together in a concerted effort and create something back home with those remittances, I think that could actually, I think that if that could actually happen, the diaspora coming together with one concerted effort, with their funds, we could easily take over certain industries that aren't home based. And hear me out when I say that is 4 point something billion dollars. Let's even say if you could raise $1 billion from the diaspora. What industry in Kenya that we currently rely on outside sources for can we now bring home and grow within? For me, I look at something like in our modern day, we build skyscrapers and we build multi-level floors, and a big core thing within all of our modern construction is steel. Now, I don't know how much steel within Kenya is mined and what's it called, processed, smelted into rebar that goes into buildings. All that D something, B something, the gauge that they measure it with. I don't know how much of that is actually within Kenya, but I would assume, if I'm correct, knowing that China is the biggest exporter of steel and also a biggest purchaser from Australia of raw iron, I would assume that we're probably buying a lot from China and other places because I don't see too many iron ore mines in Kenya. Now, let's say that every time something is built in Kenya, it takes, who knows, 30% costs that goes to some other country because we're buying steel from there and we're not doing it in Kenya. I say, if you could raise that $1 billion from the Kenyans, how quickly can you build a refinery with $1 billion and cut out that middleman where the iron ore has to first go to China to be processed and then come to Kenya? Instead of doing that, buy that iron ore directly from Australia because I think Australia is the biggest exporter of raw iron ore. Or if we have iron ore mines in Kenya, we mine it directly from Kenya. But what I'm saying is that $1 billion can easily build a refinery that now we don't have to go to China to get iron ore. Now, iron ore is coming raw from Australia straight into Mombasa port or Lamu port, going straight to a diaspora built iron ore mine, or not iron ore mine, iron ore smelting processing plant. And out on the other end comes raw gauge steel that now the Kenyan industry can rely on directly. I think that the economic power of the diaspora can go into Kenya and take over industries like that easily. Now, that's hypothetically speaking, right? Because it would take a perfect scenario to convince people to give you $1 billion, right? But if you have the proper systems in place to show and guarantee Kenyans that their money is going to go to this purpose, nobody's going to be stealing, and no government is going to be involved in taking this and taking cuts and taking bribes, I'm pretty sure a lot of Kenyans would actually like put their money towards something like that, because the return would be quick. If you're taking over a whole industry and cutting out another country, how quickly before you pay for your expenditure, how quickly would that $1 billion come back to you? I think it would come back very quick, because if somebody is already the main source and you cut them out and now you're the main source, guess what? You're the main source. But that's where my head ran with that statistic, right? It doesn't have to just be steel. You could pick another industry that we are not self-sustaining, and within that diaspora capital, a lot can be done. Something like the Mombasa to Nairobi, what's it called, gauge railway. If I'm correct, we took a loan from China of like 3 billion, probably 4 or 5 billion dollars. I'm like, the diaspora could have built that, but because it was the government taking that money loan and the government also stealing from those loans to put into their own pockets, the diaspora would never fund a certain project like that because of all the corruption that we have. So, if I'm to try to summarize this video, right now, the diaspora has a very, very strong economic power. Unfortunately, it has to go to sustaining family members and paying for school and medical things and ABCD. But right now, we're operating in like a decentralized fashion where all this money is going to individual little causes. I see the potential if it was to come together, and even a fourth of the total that's being sent back, a quarter. You can raise $1 billion from the diaspora and guarantee them that nobody's stealing their money in middle way or halfway through, or the government's not going to be involved and stopping you and giving you red tape to try to extort bribes. I'm telling you, so much could be done with that diaspora capital. So I hope that statistic opens a lot of people's eyes. I think it has been this way since 2015, that the amount of money we send back is surpassing most industries in Kenya. So whoever organizes the diaspora will be a very, very successful, wealthy person. Whoever can give the diaspora avenues to get things done back home without having to worry about someone stealing from them, whether that's a family member or the contractor or the lawyer or the person at the local land registry office asking for a bribe. If someone can streamline the process for the diaspora to operate back home, Kenya can grow so fast just from the diaspora. And that's not to even mention the knowledge that comes with the diaspora. Like, I see so many successful Kenyans operating their own things here in the U.S. ABCD. I'm pretty sure if someone could guarantee them processes, systems, apps, things that they can get their idea fulfilled in Kenya without those middlemen and them having a way to follow along the whole way, a lot can be done. That's all I wanted to throw out for this video. I would love to dive further into this topic and come on here and give you guys like a detailed breakdown of like things that can be done, but I just saw the statistic, it caught my eye, it got me thinking, and it got me planning in the sense of like, what is it that the diaspora would need to operate and fulfill their ideas, actualize their ideas in Kenya from abroad. That's the end of this video. I hope you guys take care. Love y'all. See y'all on the next one.